Layoffs are coming, and unemployment will absolutely impact home values in the future. And while the stock market prices in changes instantaneously, which is why we saw a sell off yesterday once Jerome Powell spoke, the housing market does not react the same way. And if you've watched any of my content recently, you know that at least within Florida, most homeowners are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity and feel protected. They feel wealthy. Most folks are feeling zero pain from the recession. But all we have to do is look back at recent history to understand what happens when the Fed radically tightens their policy, when they become even more hawkish than they've already been. And none of this is a hidden agenda. This is public record. Jerome Powell is on the record stating exactly what he intends to do. Now, Friday, we've got unemployment numbers coming out, and I suspect they're probably not going to be so great. So it won't shock me when the Fed takes drastic action. And I want to send a special shout out to Senator John Kennedy as he questioned Jerome Powell, because Jerome Powell tells you exactly what he intends to do. Now, let's get into it right now. And let's listen to this question and answer session, because I suspect if you're prepared and you're paying attention and you're listening to what they have to say, you've got more than enough information to know exactly what is coming.
You're raising interest rates to slow the economy, are you not?
Yes, to cool the economy off.
And one of the ways you measure your success, other than fluctuation in gross domestic product, is the unemployment rate. Is it not?
Yes, one of the measures.
Okay. So in effect, I'm not being critical. When you're slowing the economy, you're trying to put people out of work. That's your job, is it not?
Not really. We're trying to restore price stability.
No, you're trying to raise
not wages.
You're trying to raise the unemployment rate.
There are a lot of
that mean I know you don't like the phrase, so let me strike it. You're trying to raise the unemployment rate, are you not?
No, we're not trying to raise it. We're trying to realign supply and demand, which could happen through a bunch of channels. Like, for example, just job openings.
All right, let me put it another way, okay?
And I love the fact that he's getting grilled. I love the fact that he's being asked the tough questions. And I absolutely respect his answers, because he's not pulling any punches. He's telling you exactly what is going to happen. So we have to pay attention so that you can prepare and make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line.
The Economist did a wonderful study. They looked at 10 disinflationary periods in America going all the way back to the 1950s. Disinflation is what you're trying to do. It's a slowing in the rate of inflation. Am I right?
Yes.
In other words, prices don't go down, they just don't go up as fast. Deflation is when prices actually go down. You're trying to achieve disinflation, are you not?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Based on history, in the 10 times that we got inflation down, disinflation since the 1950s, in order to reduce inflation by 2%, unemployment had to go up 3.6%. Now that's history, is it not?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yes, the standard has been that there have been recessions and downturns when the Fed has tried to reduce inflation.
Now, right now, the current inflation rate is 6.4%, and the current unemployment rate is 3.4%. Now, if history is right, I'm not asking you to again blame anybody, but if history is right, unless you get some help in order to get inflation down from 6.4% to, let's say, 4.4%, and the unemployment rate is going to have to rise to 7% based on history.
That's what the record would say.
Okay.
That's what the record would say, which is why it is critical to understand what has happened in the past during these economic cycles, during these radically unprecedented times. Because We've never experienced anything like what we're experiencing today. And yet, Jerome Powell is telling you exactly what's going to happen. And again, huge shout out to John Kennedy because he's holding his feet to the fire and he's asking the questions that everybody wants to know the answers to. But let's not bury our heads in the sand, people. They're telling you exactly what they expect to do and exactly what's likely to happen in the future. But let's keep going.
Okay. And to get inflation down to 2.2% based on history, an immutable fact, unemployment would have to go to 10.6%. Would it not?
No, I wouldn't.
That's what the record shows. That's what the history shows.
Yeah, I don't think that kind of a number is at all in
I
play
mean,
here.
I know you're reluctant to admit it, and you don't.
Of course, he's reluctant to admit it because part of the job title requires that we don't freak out the market. The last thing that anybody wants to do is create panic because when there is panic, there are bad decisions made by everyone. And so it's critical to remain disciplined, to remain prudent, and to be prepared for what's coming. But he's telling you flat out what you can expect to see mass unemployment. That is what is likely to happen. It'll be very interesting to see what happens on Friday with the most current unemployment numbers, which, by the way, I don't trust at all because the survey that they use is completely flawed. But nonetheless, more data is coming out on Friday, and the Fed's telling you exactly what they intend to do.
don't want to get in the middle of a policy dispute. But I think it's undeniable. It's undeniable that the only way we're going to get this sticky inflation down is to attack it on the monetary side, which you're doing, and on the fiscal side, which means Congress has got to reduce the rate of growth of spending and reduce the rate of growth of debt accumulation. Now, I get that you don't want to get in the middle of that fight. But the more we help on the fiscal side, the fewer people you're going to have to put out of work. Isn't that a fact?
Please answer.
It could work out that way.
Sir?
It could work out that way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator.
You heard it right from the horse's mouth. It could work out that way. And newsflash, it's already working because U.S. layoffs have jumped to mark the worst start of a year since 2009. And this is a Bloomberg story that was put out today. Layoffs announced by U.S. employers quintupled in February from a year earlier and were the largest at the start of any year since 2009, led by tech companies. There were almost 78,000 job cuts announced last month, which was up from 15,000 in February 2022. But job cuts so far remain much lower overall than what they were throughout 2020 when the pandemic struck. Well, that's nice, but you have to go back further in history to see what it really looks like, to see what the economic changes were and how the consumer and the markets and home values were impacted. And I got news for you. It does not look good in many, many markets for many, many homeowners because people don't take action until the pain is sufficient enough to force them to. And my contention is that the pain of recession hasn't hit anyone yet to really cause much change in the housing markets. And to be clear, I'm talking about the markets in which I serve. There are certainly many other markets out there that are getting beat up right now as we speak. And to be clear, good, down, right or wrong, bull market, bear market, recession, no recession, stock market crash, no stock market crash, Bitcoin explosion, Bitcoin implosion. Real estate always trades. It's always a good market for someone. And there is still a mass undersupply of homes nationally to accommodate the people who want to buy them. And irrespective of whether mortgage interest rates go to 20% or 1%, people will always buy homes. People will always sell homes. Real estate will always trade. And long term, all of these things will take care of themselves. Supply and demand and the growth of population will always work itself out over time. But near term, over the course of the next 18 to 24 months, there's going to be a lot of folks that get laid off and are in financial pain. And they're sitting on a metric shit ton of equity in which to capitalize on. And if the herd mentality plays true and everyone gets the same thought at the same time because they all got laid off in roughly the same quarter or the same year, home values are going to drop across the board. And each market will trade differently, and it's not going to be the same in every single market. And there are going to be some markets that are more insulated than others. But make no mistake, if unemployment is at 10%, home prices are taking a freaking hit. And to be clear, this is not a doomsday prediction. I don't know what the market's going to yield, and I don't know what economic policy changes are going to happen. But I do know exactly what Jerome just told us, which is that the pain hasn't even started yet. So buckle up, be prepared, and understand what we're looking at, and understand the environment that we're going into, because the market is always right. And the market doesn't care what I think or what you think about anything. And cash will seek its highest value. And from a long-term perspective, everything will be fine. The future looks bright. But near term, I suspect the market will reward the patient, prudent, disciplined shopper. Now, I hope you found this content valuable. And if you did, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and check out my next video because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time,